Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin?
After you, Junior.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Logged It. We're here for episode number 61. Spooky time. Spooky season. We got horror movie villains in honor of Halloween Ends releasing in theaters this weekend. So we got some people here who like spooky stuff. We got some people here who really like spooky stuff, and then we got Kaleb Boatman. So this is gonna be a fun show. Looking forward to it. Kaleb, how are you?
I'm doing good. I will say I'm not going to talk about any of them because I watched another movie today. But every October I try to expand my horizons and watch more horror. And if you've been looking at my letterbox, I've been watching more horror, and I feel like people will be pretty happy with a lot of my reactions. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Payson, welcome. You requested to be on this one. Do you like the spooky things?
I do enjoy the spooky things. I'm not like the mega fan like these two are, but I do like getting in the season. And speaking of getting in the season, Arsenic and Old Lace came out on Criterion today. I just bought it because the flash sale's going on 24 hours. So yeah, I got it for 50% off.
I picked up the 4K of Night of the Living Dead myself.
Let's go.
Dylan,
hey,
welcome. How are you, sir? You got a haircut since the last time I saw you, I think.
Yeah, a little while ago. I'm doing all right. This is a topic that I'm obviously very excited about, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And Mr. Mike Hanley, how are you, my friend?
It's a great fucking night.
Damn straight. Great. Enough said. All right. Let's get into it the way that we always do by talking about our favorite movies that we logged this week. Boatman, why don't you kick us off? What was your favorite movie that you logged this week?
I quickly want to shout out Don't Look Now, The Omen, and The Bad Seed, all three of which are horror movies that I watched in like the last 3 or 4 days that all ruled, but I'm not picking any of them. I am picking Robert Altman's Shortcuts. This is a movie that has one of the most insanely stacked casts of all time. Because you have Annie McDowell, Julianne Moore, Matthew Modine, Jack Lemmon, Tim Robbins, Robert Downey Jr. I could go on. Like, it's the list of people who are in this movie. Frances McDormand, it's insane. Like, this cast list is insane. And it's like, it's essentially, basically, okay, I know at least these two are, and I think these two are also Magnolia fans. Basically,
I haven't seen it.
Oh, fair. You seem like a Magnolia guy, Dylan. But anyway,
It would be.
Anyway, this you can tell. PTA definitely loves this movie. This feels very similar to Magnolia. It's like a bunch of their own little interweaving storylines with characters that intersect in and out, and it's like massive, and it all takes place in LA. It is so good. I think my standouts of the movie are Jennifer Jason Leigh, who is really good, basically playing like this phone sex worker who like just like does it like just like around her house, like just she's like just like taking care of her kids, and then she's also like on the phone talking to some guy on like a phone sex line, and it's messed up, but it's kind of funny. And then Jack Lemmon, who is just a masterclass actor. He's really good in the movie. But yeah, supremely well directed, really well written, and the way the stories intersect and collide is really neat.
Yeah, that sounds up my alley. 187 minutes. I like movies that long, so let's go for it. I'll add it to the watch list. Yeah, I'm looking at the cast list like you said, and all the people you brought up. But yeah, the list is kind of nuts. So, Payson, have you seen this?
I have not, but I have been told by many people, including both, that I would love it. So it is very much up my alley.
Dylan, what about you?
I actually also have not seen it. If I can ask, Boat, where did you watch this movie? Like, on what service?
Yeah, this is not one that's available on streaming. I bought the Criterion.
Okay. Yeah, because
so there is a flash sale going on right now, so
Yeah.
I would highly recommend that, especially because there's not another way to watch the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been wanting to watch it for a while. I just haven't been able to find it. So,
Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but this is one I've been really wanting to check out. So I will try soon.
Awesome. All right, Payson, let's move over to you.
Yeah, my favorite watch, I can't really talk about my favorite watch because it's trivia stuff, so I'm not going to talk about that. My favorite rewatch is one that my favorite rewatch is Avatar. Specifically, I went to go see Avatar in IMAX, wrote a long review about it. Long story short, I had sort of like told myself, like, I'd sort of been on the whole, like, yeah, Avatar was really nothing special bandwagon. After seeing it in theaters again, guys, I was wrong. This movie is incredible for everything it is going for. I just think James Cameron has such, like, an epic, old school filmmaker way of, like, directing movies. Like, this feels like an old Hollywood epic that you would see back from, like, the 60s or 50s just in space. I know, like, the way how the movie sort of paints in, like, broad strokes is not really for everyone. It is for me. Like, I just love this world so much of Pandora and just, like, all of the creatures. I just love how, like, invested you can tell the filmmakers were in making this world feel real. The scene where Jake first runs with his new legs, legit the hair was standing up on my arms. I know that's not like the biggest moment of the movie, but like seeing that moment reminded me of how much I loved this movie. And just like, I think Zoe Saldana is great as Neytiri. I think Stephen Lang is a lot of fun as the Colonel. But yeah, just this movie, I love how like seriously it takes itself. Like, it doesn't try to like make jokes about it. Like, there's a lot of like silly stuff that you can make fun of it. Like, trust me. But like, the movie doesn't make fun of itself, and I think that's really kind of refreshing. But no, like, seeing Avatar again in IMAX, which, yeah, it is gorgeous and it is beautiful, reminded me how good and effective I do think this movie is.
Yeah, I talked about this 2 weeks ago because I saw it in the new re-release twice. I saw it in 3D, and then I saw it in IMAX 3D. And yeah, I love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies ever. I think it's fantastic. I would have talked about it again last week if I had been here for the movies that made us love movies. For the record, my two would have been this and Wolf of Wall Street. But yeah, big fan of this. I talked about it for a really long time 2 weeks ago, so I won't bore everybody too much. But Boatman, what do you think about Avatar?
I will kind of refrain from talking about it purely because I know I've seen it, but I'm not confident I've seen the whole thing, and frankly, I don't really remember it. So I will refrain.
That's fair. Dylan.
That's crazy. I'm honestly in the exact same boat as, no pun intended, the exact same boat as Boatman. But yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, and I think I might have only seen bits and pieces.
Fair. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good fucking movie. I watch it every couple of years, and yeah, seeing it in the theater is definitely the way to see it, for sure. Visually is amazing. Story-wise, could use a little more, but still enjoy it.
Awesome. All right, Dylan, let's go to you.
Yeah, so recently I've been going through the new 80s horror collection on the Criterion channel, and there's been a lot of ones that I haven't seen on there, which I've been really excited about. And one that I just kind of like randomly put on without knowing anything about is this movie called The Hidden, starring Kyle MacLachlan and some other people. But yeah, this is one where I don't want to give away too much about the plot because I, again, just went in having known basically nothing. and it's like really cool to see like just how it like develops. It's like basically I would almost describe the style as basically like Michael Mann meets David Cronenberg, while also like not quite being as highbrow as those styles, because it's still at the end of the day directed by the same guy who did A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. But it's still like this movie's just an absolute blast. Like Kyle MacLachlan, as I stated, is like just awesome in this movie. Like the second he shows up, like you can immediately tell like you don't know what, but like something's off about this guy, and when you find out what it is, it's like it's pretty awesome. And yeah, it's just like a really great like genre bender. It's like an action movie while also being like a horror movie and like with some sci-fi elements. It's an absolute blast, and I would recommend it because I know a lot of people haven't seen this one.
Yeah, I never even heard of this. I like Kyle MacLachlan. I always think of him just Dune, but like yeah, I like him in other stuff that I've seen him in. So you had me at Michael Mann meets David Cronenberg. That sounds fucking awesome. That's right up my alley. Mike, you went like this.
Oh yeah, I love this movie. I'm with Dylan. The less you know, the better. So I won't say too much about it. But yeah, it is a crazy, ridiculous, fun movie. I think a lot of people would enjoy if they give it a shot.
Boatman, have you seen this?
No, I have not, but it's on my watch list, weirdly enough. So I might check it out this October.
Payson, what about you?
I have not, but it sounds super interesting. I love Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks, GOAT show. But yeah, I have not seen this.
Okay, fair enough. Mike, let's move on to you.
And my favorite movie I saw this week, Backdoor Sluts 9. Good shit. No, actually, it's a Deadstream from 2022.
What is it called?
Deadstream from 2022. It's a Shudder original.
God.
I love Mike. I can say that. Mike is.
If we use this show, just okay. You know what? Yeah, moving on.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This movie, a found footage movie about a guy, a content creator who gets canceled and decides to try to redeem himself by doing a live stream at a haunted house where all kinds of crazy shit happens to him. It's very ridiculous, very fun horror comedy. I absolutely fucking loved it, and I think everyone should check it out this Halloween for sure.
I haven't really delved into the Shudder film space yet. I was actually thinking about this the other day where I love horror movies. Like I really do. Like it's one of my favorite genres. And it doesn't matter if they're good, bad. Like I usually find something in them that I can like kind of enjoy. But weirdly enough, I can't just like throw them on like I can like a comedy. Like I do have to be like in a mood. And so I've never like subscribed or like gone to Shudder because like I'm not just like, oh, like all these horror movies, like I'm just gonna watch them all. Like, oh. So unless it's something like, especially when it's something I've never seen before, like I could throw on any of the Halloween movies at any time because I know what's gonna happen. I know, but like I'm also kind of a wuss as much as I love horror. So like I like get nervous about watching a new horror movie, and so like I can't just like throw them on all the time. But I do. I think I saw you log this one and you gave it pretty high rating, and I saw you tweet about it. So I am interested in seeing it, but I just haven't yet. Boatman.
No, I looked at the picture on Letterboxd for this movie, and that told me everything I need to know.
that did enough for you.
Yeah, it's like a bloody dude picking his nose or something. So I'm good. Payson.
I have not. It's funny. I actually have a Shudder account, but like I don't use as much as I should. So I should probably start getting on that.
Fair. Dylan.
Yeah, I saw this week as well. This movie is fucking awesome. Like it's like I feel like this is almost like a Psycho Gorman situation where it's like your enjoyment of the film really hinges on how annoying you find the main character, because he's very much playing up like the obnoxious influencer like role. And like I will say he's not like the most convincing of actors, but it almost like it almost gave me like a original Evil Dead vibe, where it's like they're not super convincing actors, but they're really giving it their all, and it makes it very fun. And yeah, really solid horror comedy.
I can't find this thing on Letterboxd. Do I have the name right?
There's no space.
Yeah, no space.
Oh, that'd be why. Okay, so I will go ahead and I'll go back to that one after I talk about mine. Okay. So, oh yeah, there it is. Deadstream. And what'd you say? It's a guy picking his nose. Oh yeah, look at that. Interesting. All right. I'm gonna go next. I actually didn't have a great movie watching week. There's one that I really want to pick, but honestly, we're probably gonna talk about it in the list part of the show, because we're probably gonna talk about it then. And so I'm not gonna bring it up here. But I've just watched a lot of good stuff, nothing overly oh my god, that was the best thing. So I'm just gonna go with one that I just really enjoy watching. Haven't seen it in a long time, and enjoyed checking it out again. And Mike's gonna love this. Army of Darkness, 1992. Watch the 4K, the new 4K from Scream Factory, Shout Factory, and yeah, this movie's great. This is honestly I like Evil Dead 2 more. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm one of those guys that loves the 2013 Evil Dead movie, and so I think I still even like that one a little bit more. But you can't deny how much fun Ash is in this setting, in this world, and the fact that the movie is 82 minutes long, and it just fucking goes. It is so relentless and so much fun. It's a really, really good, I think, required October watch, because it blends that horror from the original film all the way down to going full crazy banana sandwich of the comedy from the second one, while still having some good gore and action and stuff. I think Sam Raimi just knocked it out of the park with this one. So Boatman, have you seen this? I feel like you would like this.
No, I actually do like this one. This was my first Evil Dead movie. I saw this before I saw the other two. I have done them in complete wrong order, because I watched this, and then recently I watched Evil Dead 2, and I think everyone's shocked. I dug the heck out of Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2 is awesome. Yeah.
Evil Dead 2 rules, and no one told me. I mean, people told me, but they didn't tell me in the right way that made me want to watch Evil Dead 2. But no, Evil Dead 2 was really fun. But Army of Darkness, I really liked it. I feel like now that I've seen Evil Dead 2, I'll like it more because I'm more familiar with where the character of Ash came before, even though I know it's not a linear version. But B, it's also just, it's been a while. I think I saw this movie when I was 16. So I probably should give this another go, because I remember enjoying it, and I really liked Evil Dead 2, so I feel like I'll like this one even more now.
Yeah. Payson, what about you?
No, I really, really like this movie. I watched the movie earlier this year when I was doing a Sam Raimi watch through. And yeah, I just love how just this one takes the comedic things from Evil Dead 2. It's is it still a horror comedy? Sure. This one's much more of just a straight comedy. And I kind of love how just Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell just don't give a fuck at this point, and they're just yeah, let's just have fun. Just the great Klaatu Baratu scene is great. Evil Ash is incredible. Just the coolest guy in the world, because Ash is just the epitome of just kind of a nerd. I just love. I have this ranked as my third favorite Sam Raimi movie. You can probably guess the top three, but yeah, I think this movie is really, really fun.
Dylan, what about you?
Yeah, I absolutely hate this movie. No, actually, I really like it. I have the poster behind me.
You have the poster behind you?
Yeah. No, I love this. This is probably my favorite franchise of all time, Evil Dead, just because I'm a horror fan first and foremost, and these movies just mean a lot to me. Even though I'm not actually crazy about the 2013 movie, but that's a conversation for another day, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. So this movie is I prefer Evil Dead 2 because I think that one finds the best balance of the comedy and the horror, but yeah, this one's like hilarious. So many great one-liners. Like Bruce Campbell can just deliver a one-liner like no one else on the planet. Like the dude's the best. So yeah.
Mike.
Yo, she bitch, let's go. 4-year-old Mike walks into the theater. He walks out a changed man because Bruce Campbell is fucking awesome. I love this movie so goddamn much.
4-year-old Mike.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents took me to the theater to see this movie, and I absolutely fucking fell in love with it because Bruce Campbell is fucking amazing. And
Mike, Tim, you know what 3-year-old Mike Hanley saw in the theater, right? Do you not know that Mike Hanley saw Goodfellas in the theater at like 3 years old?
I did not know that. Wow, that's a little nuts.
But yeah, awesome fucking movie. Recommend it to everybody.
Perfect. Okay. Let's move on to our next topic. Least favorite movie that we logged this week. Boatman, kick us off.
Mike, do I have your permission to be honest?
Yes.
Okay. This is a great director, maybe the greatest director of all time. Fantastic director. He has had missteps, but he is an incredible director. I have chosen 1941. Yeah. I don't feel too bad about this because I believe a few weeks ago I praised a really good Spielberg comedy in The Terminal. This is not a really good Spielberg comedy. I feel like The Terminal is just kind of a hot mess of a movie. Like, I think, like, one of, if not the first scene of this movie is a Jaws parody. So already Spielberg is kind of parodying himself, which is a little cringe, to be honest. And a lot of, like, the biggest problem with this movie is it's just not very funny. Like, it's a decent premise for jokes, but it just doesn't work. And I think that's mainly because you've got like John Candy, Dan Aykroyd, and John Belushi in this movie. And he basically does nothing with them. They don't get very much to do at all. Belushi gets a few wacky moments. Dan Aykroyd gets like one scene where he gets to do the 70s SNL Dan Aykroyd fast talking shtick, and that's probably the best scene in the movie. But overall, like this movie's kind of just a bore to watch. Like, it's impressive on a technical level, but it's not funny. It's the biggest problem.
I've never seen this. Back in 2020, Maggie and I set out on doing the full Steven Spielberg filmography. And after we watched War Horse, and Maggie said, "What a horse," we gave up and we never went back. I love Spielberg. The movies that I've seen that I love from him, I love him. He's not my guy like he is Mike and like a lot of other people's. Like I love the movies I love, but I haven't delved into everything. And I will eventually. I'll get there eventually. But yeah, I've heard that this is one of the big missteps as far as his filmography goes. So, but that's okay when you've made like 7 other perfect movies. Like, it's not a big deal at the end of the day. So Payson, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I have not seen this one. I also really like Spielberg. I'm sure I'll get to this one eventually. I've heard this is on the lower 10% of his movies, so yeah.
Dylan?
Yeah, I've heard basically the same thing, which is why I haven't watched it either.
Mike, tell us why it's great.
Okay, so I don't think this is actually great. I think this is a good fucking movie. The director's cut, especially, I'll give it to you. A theatrical one needs some work, for sure. The director's cut adds the little comedic moments in there that I enjoy. I actually really enjoy Belushi in this movie. And Dan Aykroyd does pretty fucking well. And yeah, I do love that fucking opening. You know what you're going to get. Once you get the opening, you know what this fucking movie's going to be. So you're in it or you're not. So I do understand the people that don't really enjoy this movie. But yeah, this is definitely on the low end of Spielberg for sure.
That's fair. All right, Payson, let's go to you.
Yeah, I just checked Letterboxd. I'm sorry, Mike, this is another movie that you gave a positive rating too, so I feel kind of bad. I watched I watched the greatest beer run ever, which is the new movie by Peter Farrelly, the guy that made Green Book. This movie isn't horrible per se. I just think it's kind of okay. So essentially, what this movie is about this guy named Chicky Donahue, who all his friends are over in Vietnam, and he decides in a drunken, alcohol-infused night out, you know what's a way I can make a difference? Is if I snuck my way into Vietnam and gave all my friends beer, in order to prove, hey, there are people still thinking about you. I think my thing about this movie, it has a lot of good intentions, because as he goes to Vietnam, he sort of starts realizing, like, oh, wow, there's a lot of bad stuff going on in Vietnam, which at first is sort of why I just sort of came away from, like, a nothing feeling from this movie, because I'm like, yeah, no shit, bad stuff is happening in Vietnam, sorry, buddy. But, like, the character of Chicky Donahue is kind of like an idiot, because, like, there's a scene where, like, he goes to, like, one of the base camps, and, like, there's a colonel there, and he's like, hey, can you call over, like, this one soldier to come over here? And he has his friend, and the colonel, like, calls and says, like, hey, can you get private guy over here? And this guy literally runs through, like, the trenches and through the battlefield, and is like, Colonel, what's up? And then Chicky's like, hey, I'm Chicky, I got you a beer. And it's like, so you just made me run through gunfire just to get a beer? Like, this is a whole scene in this movie, and, like, so yeah, Zac Efron's fine. Like, he's not like he's giving a decent performance. I think the thing is just this character is just not that interesting. Like, and I think that's sort of the issue with both this and Green Room, where it's like we're focusing kind of on the less interesting side of this whole conflict, and like, yeah, that's why. Yeah, the movie's not horrible, but like I just wasn't a big fan of it.
This is on Apple, right?
Yeah, Apple TV.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this. I'm one of those people that really liked Green Book. I don't give a fuck. When it came out, I loved it. I still love it now. I was once told by somebody that I didn't understand film because I liked that movie. To that person, I said, go fuck yourself. And if you're watching, go fuck yourself. But anyway, so I do want to watch this because I did really like that movie, and I do really like Zac Efron. I don't know anything about this other than what you've just told me. I didn't even know this was coming out until I saw it was playing at the theater near me. And they only played it for a week, so it came and went, and that's all I knew. So I will watch it, but I'm not expecting. Is it Russell Crowe in this?
Yeah,
Russell Crowe has like a smaller part in it. Yeah.
But I do really like Zac Efron, so I do want to give it a chance because I think that in the right stuff, he's really, really good. It sounds like this might not be that one, but I do want to check it out eventually. Dylan, did you get a chance to see this?
No, I actually was not a big fan of Green Book. Like, and when I found out that he was going to be doing a movie on Vietnam, given how poorly I feel like the subject matter was treated in Green Book, I was not very excited to check this one out. So,
Mike?
Yeah, I saw it, and I thought it was pretty good. I will say I like the fact that they did take the different, like we've seen enough Vietnam movies to know what the conflict is. We know exactly what Vietnam is. To go to do that again, we tell them the same story. I like the fact that they told a ridiculous side of it, mind you, of a guy that just decides to go and do abuse. But come on, let's be honest. I would be that stupid motherfucker that would go over there and do this shit. And the scene that Payson describes, he hides behind a fucking bed to just pop out at him. And I went, yeah, that's me. That's me. It's ridiculous.
That's my other favorite thing about this movie is like throughout the whole movie, because he's carrying these beers in like a big duffel bag, and he's throwing this bag everywhere, like trying to make sure like those beers will be exploded within like an hour.
They survived the entire fucking encounters with the exception of one. And he has to hold it over his head to have the rain not get to him. It's ridiculous, but I had a fun time with it. And I think Russell Crowe does pretty well for the small role he has in it.
That's fair. Boatman, did you see it?
I think Peter Farrelly is a very brave man for making a movie where the election is the Vietnam War is bad, actually. So I haven't seen it.
All right. Dylan, we're moving on to you.
Yeah, so the worst movie that I watched this week would probably be the one that I just watched today, which is You Only Live Twice. Yeah, I mean, not great. It has an interesting setup. Like, I wouldn't call the movie like a complete wash. Like, there's some good, cool parts to it. There's a admittedly pretty fun helicopter chase scene, which is enjoyable for just how kind of bonkers and ridiculous it is. And unfortunately, there's quite a lot of racism, and yeah, that's pretty uncomfortable. So yeah, not great.
Yeah, this one's rough because this might be like one of my favorite reviews I've ever written on Letterboxd, which is just the I said like the movie opens and I'm like, wow, this is actually a really interesting setup. The first line comes out of Bond's mouth. Oh no, you can't say that. Like, it's super cringe, but I agree with you. I think there's a lot of actually really interesting stuff in this movie. Like the first half, I think, has some really good setup, and like the conflict going on. It's just the way that then things happen is like super yikes. Like every one of these old Bond movies has racist, sexist stuff. Like you can't get around that. This one especially though is like, okay, this is bad. Like who thought this was a good idea? I do think the finale is really, really fun though, in the volcano and everything. I think is good. Donald Pleasance as Blofeld is a welcome thing. So there's parts of this that are really great, but the negatives of this weigh it down so much. Mike, what do you think about this one?
I have not seen this actually.
All right, Boatman.
Yeah, I mean the oof stuff is obviously very oof. My biggest problem with this movie though is that you've got Donald Pleasance as Blofeld, who is great, and you only have him in like 10-15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I get that that's the big reveal, but the fact that we never got Donald Pleasance back as Blofeld is so frustrating to me because he is so good, but we barely get to see him be Blofeld. Like, that's like my biggest pet peeve about this movie. Not that the other stuff isn't worse, but like that's the most frustrating thing about this movie is that Donald Pleasance is such a good Blofeld and they kind of waste him.
Yeah, Payson.
Yeah, like you, Tim, coincidentally, one of my favorite Letterboxd reviews that I've ever posted is of this movie. Before I hit the 1 hour, 13 minute, and 38 second mark of You Only Live Twice, my feeling was, you know what? This has some oof stuff, but it's pretty fun. Once I went after that, and you see how James Bond has to disguise himself, oof, that's rough, buddy. And that's kind of what kept me from really enjoying this movie. So, yeah.
All right. Maggie's yelling at the dog. Okay, so that was Dylan's. So we're going over to Mike. Mike.
My least favorite one this week was Jeepers Creepers Reborn, the new Jeepers Creepers film. Yeah, this is just your run-of-the-mill horror movie. It's the situation of the less you show, the better it would probably be, and it just shows way too much of the creeper to give any scares whatsoever. It's just bad. Like the acting is pretty atrocious, and the kills aren't that great at all, and the story behind it just didn't interest me whatsoever.
I've seen the first Jeepers Creepers, and that's it. I liked it when I was a teenager, but I haven't seen any of the other ones, so can't really speak to this too much. When I saw you hated it, I was like, okay, well, there's no hope. I'm not fucking watching this. Boatman, why did you go see this opening night?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Jeepers Creepers guy, baby. I got that tattooed on my chest. Yeah, it's a horror movie that Mike Hanley would do good for. No way am I watching this.
Mason.
Yeah, when Mike Hanley tells you that a horror movie is bad, there are a few things that are going to make me run away from a movie more than that. Yeah, I have not seen this.
And Dylan.
Have not seen it.
Perfect. Okay. So then it is my turn. I had a couple different things that I could go with, but again, one of them I think we might talk about at the main list, so I'm gonna refrain. But I'm gonna go with 1995's Species. I watched this week. Another one of my favorite reviews that I've written recently, which was just straight up like, I saw this as a kid, and I remember thinking that this was the fucking bee's knees. A hot, blonde, naked woman running around, trying to have sex with people, and then killing them. Oh my God, that's so cool. And then I was sitting here watching it while my beautiful wife was laying in bed with my beautiful dog, and I felt icky. I felt gross. This is bad. This is not a good movie. But you know, like there's some stuff in it that's like kind of fun. Like some of the kills are like interesting, but like at the end of the day, like I don't know, man. Like the cast is nuts. Like fucking Ben Kingsley's walking around in this thing. I'm like, what are you doing? And then you got Michael Madsen, Alfred Molina, Forrest Whitaker, a young Michelle Williams. Like this shit is crazy, and some of the gore is good and like cool, but like at the end of the day, like the plot is just like too fucking weird, man. I will say the ending, like when she goes, spoiler alert for Species, when she like gets like the armor on and is like they're fighting her, and it was kind of cool, like whatever. But like, yeah, like just the fact that like she gets in a car accident and then this guy like takes her to the hospital. Like, I'm here to help her. I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her, but I'm going to pay for all of her medical stuff because I want to bone her. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, I guess it's kind of realistic. Like, that probably would happen, but like, Jesus Christ. I'm assuming Boatman hasn't seen this. Maybe he has. I don't know. Payson.
Yeah, all I know about this movie is what you said, is that Natasha Hemstridge is naked for a lot of it. But yeah. I've noticed.
Dylan.
No, I haven't seen it either.
And Mike.
I've not seen this movie since I was a small child, but I remember it being very ridiculous.
No, that's accurate. All right. So those are our least favorite movies that we logged this week. We're going to move on to our main part of the show where we're talking about our horror movie villains. So, Boatman, are you prepared to give your first pick of a horror movie villain?
I can do that. For the record, I haven't seen Species, but is that the one with like the weird worms coming out of the lady or something? Did that happen, or is that a different movie?
I don't think she has worms coming out.
Not like worms, but isn't there like some weird?
There's like 3 sequels that I've never seen, so it's possible. But I don't remember any weird worms.
I'm probably mixing it up with a different movie.
That's fine.
Are you watching one of the sequels tonight?
No.
My first pick, though, I'm going with. I feel like if you know me, you know there's like one smaller horror movie that I always champion, and I'm going with from 1993's Needful Things, Leland Gaunt, played by Max von Sydow. This guy's basically the devil. Like he's supposed to be the devil, basically, and he's very creepy. But like not in like the obviously creepy way, because basically the premise of this movie is this is a dude who just runs a neat little knick-knack shop in Castle Rock, and basically he's like, hey, I've got like this thing that like you love, and all you have to do to get it, you don't even have to pay me any money. You just got to do me like this little favor, and it's usually something like very innocent. But the way that those little innocent favors end up like completely like wrecking the town because it causes like there are these kind of dormant feuds within the whole town that like end up being kind of restarted or ignited because of these little tasks, and the way he just knows how to play everyone against each other and just turn like he never actually does anything. It's all everybody else, but he's just like the master manipulator, and it's so good. And Max von Sydow just is so creepy and plays him so well. Yeah, it's excellent. I like it a lot. I recommend this movie, and yeah, he's a really good villain.
I've never seen this, but I'm interested. Basin.
I have not seen this. I know Boat has recommended it a lot, so I'm very interested in it. But no, I have not seen it.
Dylan, what about you?
To keep the trend going, I also haven't seen it, but I love Max von Sydow, so I believe him if he says he's a great villain in it. Yeah.
And Mike.
Talking about this movie with Boat is always a fucking fun time. This movie is so much fun, and it's a great Stephen King adaptation. And yeah, Boat described it perfectly. Max von Sydow is fucking fantastic in this.
Awesome. All right, Basin.
Yeah, my horror movie villain, we're going to the 2010s with this one, and you know what I hate? Neo-Nazis. Like, most of us should hate them. And I'm picking Darcy from Green Room. This movie is awesome, and in my opinion, Patrick Stewart absolutely kills this role. Patrick Stewart plays the owner of, like, this neo-Nazi bar that the band that the movie centers around is playing at. You automatically already don't like the guy because of just the sort of people that, like, surround the bar, but, like, he seems respectful enough, so you're like, okay, fine, this band's just got to play their venue. And then, if anyone knows anything about the movie, stuff starts going down, and you really start to see how, like, villainous this guy is. I think the reason why I love Darcy as a villain is because, like, the scariest moments of this character is when he's not dealing with, like, the band or dealing with the people he hates. When he's like speaking with, like, the police, like, he's very respectful, he's very calm, and you see, like, how good of a facade he leads that allows him to do these insanely messed up things and run this horribly messed up business with his bar. If anyone hasn't seen Green Room, I'd really, really recommend it. It's super intense, but I think it's a super scary horror movie. Yeah, Darcy is my pick.
Yeah, I saw this when it came out in theaters. Love this movie. I think this movie is awesome. I was just talking about this with Maggie not too long ago because we just watched Fright Night, the Anton Yelchin remake one. And we were talking about other movies that he was in, and him and Imogen Poots were both in Fright Night and both in this. And this is just a great movie. We lost Anton Yelchin like way too early. He's such a fucking good actor, and man, like this movie is just like crazy. It makes me scared of my doggo. That's for sure. The dogs in this movie are fucked up. This is a all-timer for me. I think this movie's fantastic. Boatman, have you seen this?
Oh yeah, no, I really like this movie. I like contained horror movies. So like this is kind of my bag, especially because this is definitely one of those ones that like rides the horror thriller line. And those are always gonna lean a little bit more towards me, especially when it's a little bit more psychological. And yeah, I dig the heck out of this one, and Stewart steals every scene he's in. And I back up what Payson said. He's a lot of these types of like villain performances, even if you're not talking horror villains, are almost creepier when they're not being like vindictive and evil, when like you see how easily they can slip into just a human suit, basically. Like it's I agree. Those are like the creepiest moments.
Yeah. Dylan.
Yeah, I also love this movie quite a bit because it combines two of like my favorite things, which is horror and punk music, which is pretty awesome. I mean, if I remember correctly, because it's been a little while since I've seen it, he's really like not in the movie like that much, but his like presence is like felt throughout the entire thing. And like, yeah, when I remember when I had originally watched it, I'd like basically only known from I basically only known Patrick Stewart from like Star Trek and X-Men, where he's playing like, you know, the good guy. So when I saw him in this, and they still utilize like his almost like likability, like to make you lure you in basically, and like, oh, this guy's not that bad, and then you're like, oh yeah, he's a real piece of shit. But yeah, good film.
Mike.
Yeah, I love this movie. Patrick Stewart. What I love about Patrick Stewart in this movie is he's not manic at all. He's very contained. He's just one of those villains that is smart enough to know what he needs to do, but he won't go above and beyond to do it. He'll smartly go at you. And throughout this movie, he does everything he has to do to try to contain the situation up until the very end, where he just says fuck and starts walking away, which I think is one of the greatest ways in this movie of him just walking away while Anton Yelchin is just staring at him. He's so fantastic, and this is such a great movie.
Yeah. All right. Dylan, we're on to you.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with, I'm not sure how many, I haven't looked on Letterboxd. I don't know how many people have seen this one, but I'm going with, I should have brought up her name, the main villain in Audition from 1999, which I say the main villain also, not just because I can't remember her name, but also I feel like it's best if you don't know, which is really too bad, because Letterboxd now it's basically everywhere. Like she's on the poster of the movie. Like, so basically this movie's setup is like for the first half, or even like for the first maybe act or so, it's like basically a romantic comedy setup where it's like this guy who's like basically made up this whole hoax of like auditioning for a role, which is actually him looking for a woman that he can become romantically involved with. And basically the woman that he finds in the audition, who he eventually starts dating, we eventually get to learn more about her. And the movie takes a drastic shift in tone, and it becomes one of the more disturbing horror films I think I've seen, like just ever, really. Like it goes to some really dark places, and just finding out more about her character, it's like, fuck. Like, I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, this movie's amazing. Check it out. Yeah. But, you know, trigger warnings also need to be thrown out for it, because there's some pretty extreme stuff in it.
Yeah, I haven't seen this, but I knew of it. I'm a big Chris Stuckman fan, and he talked about this on his horror Halloween special that he does every year. Last year, he talked about it. And it intrigued me when he talked about it. I just haven't gotten around to it. Like I was saying earlier, I love horror, and I especially love horror like this, where it's like, I like it when it's almost like those like trigger warning things of like, this is going to be super fucked up and like, get ready for it. And so I'm sure I would enjoy this. The premise is really, really interesting. So I'm definitely interested in watching it. I just haven't yet, but I've heard this is like not for the faint of heart, like at all. So, Mike.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and I think John Morris said it best in his review. This is a perfect movie to show your child before they go on their first date, to know what to expect or what could be expected.
I don't know if I'd show this movie to children.
This fucking movie is insane in the best way, and I absolutely love it.
Boatman.
Say it with me, all. Not a Boatman movie.
Oh, okay.
Right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you guys, hi. Like, from what I understand, not a Boatman movie. I would start crying, I think, correct?
From what I heard, yeah.
Just not yet.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Maybe Mike will make me watch it one of these days, but I'd rather not.
I want to be on call for that. I will make sure I'm on call for that.
Payson.
I love
my hands in front of my eyes.
I love this movie for all the reasons Mike and Dylan have said. This movie goes to some very, very insane places. The less said, I think, the better. Takashi Miike is a director I want to get more into. Like, I've heard 13 Assassins and Ichi the Killer are fantastic movies. But yeah, this movie it's messed up, but in the best ways possible. I really, really like it.
Okay. Mike, let's go to you.
All right, well, I'm going to go with an easy pick to start it off. I'm going to go Chucky. Nice. That little fucking bastard. I love the hell out of him.
A specific movie you would like to...
let's go Child's Play 2. Where in this movie, he's still after Andy. And now he's after Andy and his new family. And he's still... This is a movie that starts to build a little more towards the comedic presence of Brad Dourif, and it's so fucking fantastic. He gets the fucking great lines in it. You don't fuck with the Chuck. You should know this by now. You can throw him, you could fucking shoot him, you could dismember him, you can turn him into fucking melt him into plastic like they do in this one, and he still keeps coming for you. And this is a guy that has a staying power since the 80s, and the TV show proves it. Because the TV show has been doing so fucking well. Yeah, Chucky is just so fucking amazing. And in this one, he has some of the best kills, including the school teacher, which is fucking amazing. I love this movie to death. Chucky is so fucking great in all of them. And in this one especially, I love everything about the good guy factory and the adventure they have to go through to get away from him in this. Great shit.
Yeah, I just rewatched the first one. They put the first 3 out on 4K through Shout Factory a couple weeks ago, so I just rewatched the first one. I watched all of them in 2019 before the remake came out, which I enjoyed the remake for what it was. It wasn't like fantastic, but I liked Mark Hamill as Chucky. I thought that was fun, but I haven't seen the show. Is it Dourif in the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
It basically takes place after Cult of Chucky. So it takes the storyline of Cult of Chucky.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay. Well, I am about to give them all a rewatch just because, like I said, I got those 3. And then today, Amazon started their Prime Flash sale. And they had the 7-movie collection on Blu-ray for like $20. And I didn't own any of them. So it was like, well, might as well. Yeah, I like these movies a lot. I like them way more than I thought I was going to. Chucky's awesome. Honestly, the only one I really kind of don't love is the third one. I remember not being into the third one a super much. Like, I thought it was, I don't know, I just didn't like it. But I really like Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky. Those movies are fucking stupid, but they are awesome. And I did like Cult of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. Like, I thought both of those were fun. So yeah, I like this. This is a good pick. Not where I thought you were going to go to start off, but yeah, don't fuck with the Chuck for sure. Boatman.
I have not seen Child's Play 2. But I'll be honest. This is one of those ones where I remember being told the premise of this movie by like an edgelord kid who wanted to scare me, and it worked. So I've always kind of been freaked out by Chucky ever since. This was when I was 8. I mean, I'm still freaked out by Chucky, but not in the same way I was when I was 8.
That's fair. Payson.
Yeah, the only Child's Play movie I've seen is the new one, which I thought was okay. But yeah, I've wanted to go back and watch the old ones. But I've heard from many people that this is arguably the best one. So yeah,
the first 2 are both great.
Yeah, first 2.
Dylan.
Yeah, I actually have only seen like the very first Child's Play film, not the second one. And it was a little while ago. I think I remember liking it. Chucky's never really been, if I'm being honest, like my guy, I guess, like in terms of like the big horror movie iconic slasher characters. I've just never found him like, I guess, that creepy, but no, I get the appeal. Like, yeah.
All right. Fair. Okay. So I will go next. I am going to. I knew what I was going to pick. I might as well have typed it in early, but I'm fucking terrible at my job. I'm going to go for the obvious one and the movie that's coming out this weekend. I'm going with Michael Myers. The original Halloween had like such an impact on me. This whole series, like, it has had such an impact on my movie taste and just like love of horror and everything. Like I love the original Halloween. I have seen it more times than I can like possibly count. I used to consider it a top 3 favorite movie. It's gone down just a little bit, but it's still fucking great. And honestly, like even the ones that I hate, I still kind of love. Like this series has the Star Wars effect where like I hate Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, but I know every single word of dialogue from Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. And Halloween is kind of the same thing. Like the most with maybe exception to Resurrection and Rob Zombie's sequel, the second one. Like I really, really don't like Rob Zombie's second Halloween movie. And I really don't like Resurrection, but everything else, like even the ones that suck, I like. Mike and I were not talking, but we had a quick Twitter about Return of Michael Myers is honestly probably my like second favorite. Like if I really think about it, like I love Halloween 4. Like I just think it is so much fun, and it definitely has something to do with like I saw the original and then I saw 4. Like those were the 2 that I saw, and so I saw it the most because my sister's boyfriend like left the VHS tape of it at my house, and so I watched Halloween 4 on repeat on VHS for like a long time, and then I talked about it on Guilty Movie Pleasures, but the 07 Rob Zombie movie, like I love it. Everyone else hates it. That's fine. I think it's great. Mike, you were there for that when we talked about that, so you heard me blab on about that forever. But I just love Michael Myers, and honestly, when we get into the new stuff, like I think 2018 is good. I think it's a really good movie. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I'm not like as far as Nazario that's like it's woke, but like I do think it's very good. Like, there's stuff in it that's stupid. Like to quote Maggie, this doctor is fucking stupid. Like Dr. Sartain is like a fucking terrible character. I think Halloween Kills is borderline awful, but I like the kills in it, but like the movie's bad. So, like I'm really excited for Halloween Ends. I have a friend or a coworker, I don't know how you want to put it, a guy that I know from work who has seen it, and he liked it. So it comes out on Friday, and I'm pumped. We're seeing it Thursday night, I guess. And I don't know, have the reviews started coming out? Like I don't know if
the premiere was tonight, so more than likely it'll start coming tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's good, but we'll see what happens. Boatman, Michael Myers.
Yeah, to me it's kind of a weird thing where I think Michael Myers to me kind of almost represents the way to do a human character who is almost an antagonist force more than an actual villain character. Because I almost put him in the same camp that I would put like Jaws, right? Like the shark from Jaws. In that I think both, like when Michael is done best, he is just a killing machine with no real motivation.
He's a killer shark, one would say.
Yeah, he is a killer shark. Like that's what I'm getting at. Is that like Jaws or Michael Myers, like they both to me, at least Michael at his best, because I think when they try to give Michael a motivation, that's when it's kind of dumb, to be honest. But Michael Myers at his best has no motivation, a mindless killing machine, and I think that is what makes for really interesting things. I also think that maybe doesn't make him the most interesting character, but I don't necessarily think he should be. So it's kind of a weird dissonance, but then he's iconic and it's a great pick.
You do know that that's a quote from a Halloween movie of Michael Myers as a great white shark.
What is that? Is that from Resurrection?
That's from Resurrection.
That sound is that Busta? Did he say that?
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I kind of tuned out of Resurrection.
No, hey, don't worry about that. That's fair.
The best stuff is the kid from Smart House being in that movie.
That movie
Ryan Merriman.
Irish. That kid in that movie.
Payson, Michael Myers, what you think?
Tim, which is the better rapper performance in this movie, LL Cool J or Busta Rhymes?
Well, LL Cool J is in H2O.
Yeah.
And I give it to LL Cool J because he's reading and writing an erotic fiction novel and reading it to his wife over the phone. And the movie surrounding LL Cool J is actually pretty cool. Although I still attest to this day the Michael Myers mask in H2O.
It's a weird mask in H2O.
It's bad. Like, he looks like a goofball, and I hate it. But him, it's like the kills and stuff in that movie are mwah. So yeah. But anyway, Pacing, go on.
Well, here's the thing. What were you saying, Bo?
I just said H2O is actually really good.
Oh, it is.
I enjoy H2O. No, but it's funny you call Michael Myers a goofball in H2O because he's kind of a goofball even in 1978. Like, I saw this thing on Twitter. Like, you never thought about it, but like when he goes to kill, I think like Annie, and he's just in the ghost. Like, what are you doing, Michael? Like, just kill the girl. Don't conquer. Just stab her. I guess he's kind of like, you know, the whole quote of like, I'm going to eat you and then I'm going to play with you. Like, maybe he's going to play with her and then stab her. Like, it's just like that. But no, Michael Myers, like, this is a great pick. Yeah, I love 1978's Halloween as well. Not the biggest fan of the newer ones, but I get the appeal. As Mike has made the line, "Evil dies tonight." Maybe there are a few things that bring me more joy in this world than hearing that now. And when I saw that movie, just the meme scene of everyone just running through the hospital, just "Evil dies tonight."
So bad.
Like, okay, but no, this is a very, very good pick.
You've triggered my wife. She's now chasing my dog around the living room going, "Evil dies tonight." Dylan.
Yeah, as Boatman alluded to, and as I'm sure Mike will bring up, I think Michael is like, he's best when I think like the less you know about him, the better. Basically, like he's not like when his powers are not powers, like when he himself is left vague and like you don't know what can stop him, you don't know why he's doing what he is doing. Like, there's no motive, there's no way to reason with him. There's basically no way you could stop him, and which is what I think makes him like such a great and iconic villain, and which is why I'm not a big fan of the Rob Zombie movies. But yeah, in the original Halloween, fantastic. I'm also not crazy about the 2018 one, but yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, I talked about it last week. Halloween is the movie that made me love horror movies. I love Michael Myers so much, and I do agree with Dylan and Boatman that the less you know about Michael, I think the scarier he becomes, especially in the first one. But with, like Tim said, I go, like, as a child, it was the number 1 and number 4. That's all I fucking watched over and over again. I love those movies so much. And Donald Pleasance just gets more insane as they go along too, which is also awesome to fucking watch because he starts yelling at a mute child in the 5th one, which is fucking amazing.
Jamie, where is he?
I fucking die every time I watch that goddamn movie because it's so fucking ridiculous.
It's so rough when by number 6, like I remember watching them in 2020 for Horror Icons, or 2021, I guess, and Maggie just sitting there going, fucking Donald Pleasance in the last months of his life is filming this dog shit movie, walking around going, Jamie had a baby, Paul Rudd, holy shit. Like,
he's giving it his all though.
Dude, his scream at the end of Halloween 4 when like with Jamie in the mask, and, like, he is, oh god, I love Donald Pleasance in those movies. Sorry, Mike, I cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, but yeah, Michael has always been my number 1 horror villain for sure. He's so fucking fantastic, and even the bad ones, I can get something out of them. Like I get Trick or Treat, motherfucker. Yeah. Like, that I will take out of that movie because that's fucking ridiculous. But yeah,
The only
Great
good
shit.
thing out of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, though, what is it, Mike?
the good thing out of Rob Zombie's.
There's only one good thing in that movie.
The horse.
Horse?
No, that's fucking bullshit. We're not Nazario sitting here go, I like the one. No, I'm talking Weird Al Yankovic, baby.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Weird Al in that movie?
Yeah. Oh,
Very
yeah.
briefly, but yes.
And I do love me some Danielle Harris in both Rob Zombies.
Yes.
I'll give that. She does fucking fantastic in both of them.
How did you not know Weird Al was in that movie?
Because I've avoided watching Halloween 2 with like all of my will. And I guess Weird Al's in it, so I kind of have to watch it.
You're going to be a little disappointed. He's in it for like maybe 20 seconds tops, but
Hey, it's Weird Al. I'll take all the 20 seconds. I
Okay.
watched his VH1 Behind the Music documentary. I'm all in on Weird Al.
That's fair. All right, Boatman, you're going next. And I'm gonna cam off for a second, so take over for a sec, Boat.
Okay, cool. Yeah. You know what? Okay, I'm going to go. Zelen inspired me because I wasn't going to do this, but I wanted to shout out a smaller pit, but I also don't want to spoil this movie. So I'm just going to say the character who is revealed to be the villain in 1972's Child's Play. No connection to the Chucky movies, but this is a great horror movie. Basically, the premise is Beau Bridges comes to this school to work as a teacher, and there's kind of this feud going on with these two teachers played by James Mason and Robert Preston. And while this is happening, there's basically these weird like mishaps that have been going on with these kids getting hurt and even sometimes murdered. And basically, things unfold, but essentially the character who is revealed to be behind all of these things, the way things work and the way he's kind of manipulate everything is incredibly interesting, and the performance is fantastic. Especially, I don't want to say too much, but all I will say is watch if you're like a horror person. If you're not a horror person, watch 1972's Child's Play. It's fantastic. It is Sidney Lumet making a horror movie, so it's like it's really, really, really good. I love it. I think one of my favorite horror movies. Payson, have you seen this?
I have not, but it sounds interesting.
It's really good. Dylan?
no, but I want to. You sold me with Sidney Lumet making a horror movie. That sounds pretty rad. So
Yeah, it is quite rad. Mike?
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of this. And yeah, it's best not to spoil too much about this movie because the reveal is fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Payson, we will go to you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick which one? Okay, so I'm going to be picking Ghostface, and there are many different ways I think you could go with it. If you've ever seen a Scream movie, I really, really like what they do with one of the killers in Scream 2. But come on, if we're talking about the best person to wear the Ghostface mask, it's Stu. Yeah, Stu, spoilers for the first Scream. I'm sorry, but like...
And we spoiled The Lion King last week, so we got.
Oh, no. You
The
spoiled...
spoiler alert is incredible. But no, Stu in the first Scream is definitely my favorite character to wear the Scream mask. For one, I just think Matthew Lillard. Am I echoing?
I don't know who's echoing.
I don't hear anything.
I don't hear anything.
It might be you then, Tim, because it didn't echo when you talked, so it might be you.
Are we good?
I don't hear it anymore. So
Okay,
Go
it's
ahead.
fine. Okay, yeah. No, I think Matthew Lillard is giving an incredible performance in this movie. He's probably giving the best performance out of any of the actors. I love it at the beginning, like he just sort of seems like he has that dweeby like feel, but he also just has like this like cool feel to it. Like he has a really good mixture of it. And then just the final scene when you learn that he is one of the killers, it's just brutal. And like that final like scene where like he where Sydney has him and he's just like, don't tell anyone, my mom's gonna kill me. Like, you are weirdly like feeling bad for him, and it's like, why am I feeling bad for you? You just killed all these people. And like you kind of feel like, yeah, this is a guy that Billy totally could have just like convinced to just help him along, and just didn't even like question it that much. He's just like, yeah, sure, it just seems like fun. But yeah, I think Stu's definitely the best killer in the Scream franchise.
Sorry, I had to say something to my wife. No, I fucking love this movie. This is one of my favorite horror movies, movies in general. It's my favorite in the series. I think Stu is probably arguably the best. I think he's great in the movie. I love all of his antics before you know who he actually is, and then when you actually get the reveal at the end. I think the reveal, like, I saw this movie when I was probably like 13, 14, and I remember seeing it and being like so surprised by who the killers were. Like, and every time I watch this movie, I kind of get that feeling back of like, man, this twist is like so good. Really, really great movie, really great character. This is a great pick. Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the correct pick for Ghostface. Like, I love Scream 2 as well, but like, I mean, in terms of Scream villains, I mean, Stu is just like the best. Like Matthew Lillard, he is on something in this movie. It is very entertaining to watch. Yeah, I mean, they do a good job with like, because like right from the beginning when you first introduced him, he's like kind of unhinged to where it's like, oh, it's too obvious. Like, he can't be the killer. But then they somehow make it to where that when the reveal happens, it still surprises you because like you've completely written him off at that point. But yeah, I love the Scream movies, and yeah, this is easily, I think, the best villain of the franchise.
Yeah. Mike.
Yeah, Stu is fucking fantastic. He is definitely the best killer out of all of them, and his line of "you hit me with a phone, dick" is so fucking fantastic. And just the fact that like his back and forth with Randy throughout this movie is awesome as well, including the video store where he's just fucking with Randy the entire time. Once you know what the reveal is, you can tell he's just fucking with him the entire time. It's fantastic. He is so great. The Scream movies have always been so much fun to me, and yeah, Stu is definitely up there.
Boatman.
Besides Randy lines, I don't know if there is a line I quote from this franchise more than "and your mother, she was no Sharon Stone." Like, oh man, Stu is definitely like the choice. Like, don't get me wrong, Billy Loomis is, you know, the mastermind and everything, but Stu is just so fun. Like, and I realized one of my favorite like genres of characters are characters who seem completely unrealistic, and then you kind of think about it for a second, and then you're like, wait, this is actually incredibly realistic. Because guys like Stu, maybe they haven't committed murder, but you know those types of guys who like just kind of latch on to somebody and just kind of like would be willing to like do anything if they kind of convince them into it. I kind of realized what I just said for a second, but anyway, I won't kill people, even if Kaleb Koho tells me to. No, I love Stu.
All right, Dylan, let's go to you. You're muted. You're muted, Dylan.
Muted.
Sorry, that's never happened to me before. Shoot.
It's a first for everyone.
Yeah. So for my next one, I think I'm going to pick from 1974's Black Christmas. I'm going with Billy. This is probably like my favorite, like straight up slasher movie. I think, like, just this movie, like from the 70s, obviously it's got that 70s horror feel to it, where it's like very, very like disturbing, and it's like some of the phone calls that like we going from Scream to this, like the phone calls in Scream are obviously like great and iconic. The phone calls in this movie from Billy are like the stuff of nightmares. Like the guy who plays Billy, don't know his name, sorry. He gives like one of the best, I think, just like voiceover performances ever, where like the phone calls, he's like doing so much changes to his voice and just going absolutely insane and just saying like all these insanely vulgar stuff and just jumping from like topic to topic. And he is a very frightening villain. He's also like the way that they shoot him in the movie helps a lot, where there's a lot of like POV shots, and I don't think you really ever see like a full shot of his face. He's like very much like in the darkness and like just creeping around. And yeah, he's a very effective villain in this movie. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite horror movies ever. So I wanted to shout it out.
Yeah, this movie's really fun. I saw this back in 2019 before the 2019 version had come out. I've seen all 3 versions, and this is by far, mile and away, the best one. Both of the remakes are booty cheeks. Bad fucking movies. But I will say that Maggie and I watched the 2019 one together and had a really good time being the only ones there watching it. It's an awful film, but this one's really fun. I have only seen it the one time, like I said, in 2019, so I owe it a rewatch. But I remember really enjoying it, and yeah, so good shit. Mike.
Yeah, I think Billy is an underrated villain for sure. Like Dylan was saying, the voiceover of him is fucking fantastic. Yeah, I enjoy this movie very much. I think it's really fun. But yeah, the remake is not good at all.
Either of them.
Yeah, either of the remake. Yeah, the 2006 one too is fucking.
Although that one's slightly better than the new one. Boatman.
I have not seen this.
Sorry, I was laughing at Katie's comment because she is not a horror person at all. So that made me laugh really hard. Payson.
I have not seen it. I think I would really like it. I hear the new one is very woke. So like,
where's Nazario when you need him?
Oh, whoa.
But yeah.
All right, cool. All right, Mike, we're on to you.
All right, so I'm gonna go with the tall man from Phantasm.
What are you doing to me, Mike? I thought you were gonna pick something out. God damn it! Oh,
I'm going the unconventional Mike picks. All right.
No, because I had 2 that I wanted on here. Oh, no. Damn it!
This man is Angus Scrimm as Jedediah Morningside, aka the tall man, is fucking fantastic. He rarely says anything but boy and a couple other lines, but just his facial expressions are fucking amazing. He's a mortician who works at a mortuary that ends up building a machine that takes him through a different time, and he comes back changed into this alien type villain. And what he does to people is he grabs them, he shrinks them, takes their brains out, and they look like the little Star Wars guys with the hoods, like the little fucking brown hoods, running around and shit like that. And he has these round spheres that he
Jawas?
uses to. Yeah, the Jawas. Yeah, they look like little fucking Jawas running around. It's fucking awesome. And he has the strength of like fucking 10 guys. He can pick up a goddamn coffin by himself and chuck it in there. And the first one especially, it's just so fucking wild. He's in it for maybe like, 25 minutes of the entire runtime, but every minute he's in is fucking amazing. I've watched these movies since I was a little kid up until the last one in, I think, 2016. He's been fantastic, and finding all the backstory about him is awesome.
I've never actually seen any of these movies. Every time I go to Best Buy, there's one copy of like the is it 5? Are there 5 films?
There's 5.
The 5 movie collection is just like staring me in the face every time I go, and it's only like $18. I'm like, It's a deal. I wouldn't like these. I want to watch them. God damn it. But it's like, I don't need another 5 fucking movies to sit on my shelf for a year and a half before I finally fucking watch it. No, I mean, I'm interested in these. But I haven't gotten there yet. So nah, I didn't even know they existed until the last one came out in like whatever you said, 2016 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was around there, 2015, 2016.
Yeah, because we played it at the theater for like a one night only like Fathom event or something, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Yeah. Boatman, tell me, why do you watch these every Halloween with your mom?
Oh yeah, no, I watched them with my grandma until she died. She loved these movies.
I so wish that was true. Fucking amazing.
Yeah, Grandma Boatman, who was the Croods was too intense for her. Loves Phantom.
Oh my god. Payson.
Tim, I feel like you looking at a movie and being like, I don't need to add another movie is like the U.S. being like, we don't need to go another $1 million in debt. Like at that point, it's not going to matter that much. Like just get it if that's what you want. Like, but no,
I think my picks today were a little bit better than Phantasm. I got Night of the Living Dead on the Criterion. I got Beast, the new Idris Elba Lion movie, and I got To Kill a Mockingbird on 4K, which I've never seen To Kill a Mockingbird. So I feel like that was a little bit better than the Phantasm 5 collection.
That's fair. But what I will say, after meeting him in real life, you know who's a tall man? Thomas Scully. It's a big boy. Yeah, big boy.
Yeah, Gigantor.
Yeah,
he's very tall.
Dylan.
Yeah, I love this movie. I haven't seen any of the sequels, but this movie is like, it's a very wild ride. So I can completely understand why, if you look at the ratings on Letterboxd, people either love it or they like give it like 1 star, half a star. It's like, yeah, it's that type of movie. Yeah, I not gonna lie, I thought about going with Phantasm, so I'm glad Mike picked it for this list.
Great. So I'm very mad at Mike. I had to make a tough decision. I was between 2, and I thought Mike was gonna go for the easy one, and now, but fuck it, whatever. I'm going Freddy Krueger. Like, I thought Mike, this is where Mike was gonna go, and then he fucking said Phantasm, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing? I want to shout out Pennywise the Dancing Clown because I do really, really love both of the Andy Muschietti It movies, and I wanted to talk about them, but I can't let this list go by and not talk about Freddy Krueger because to me, growing up, it was Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. Like Michael Myers was the first one for me, but Freddy was definitely right there with him. I have seen these movies an obscene amount of times. Weirdly, like Halloween, I really like 4. Nobody likes 4.
Oh, I love 4.
But
too.
I love Dream Master so much. I still like Dream Warriors more, but I had the 2 DVD set where it was like 2 cases, and one of them was like Nightmare 1 through 4, and then the other one was 5, Freddy's Dead, New Nightmare, and Freddy versus Jason, and I had like that set. And I actually wasn't a Friday the 13th kid growing up. Like I was Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't see the Friday. I saw the original like 3 Fridays, but I didn't see any of the other ones until I was an adult. So I was all, when I watched Freddy versus Jason, it was purely based on my love for Freddy, not so much Jason. But yeah, I love Freddy Krueger and the comedic side of it, the more serious side of it. People shit on the remake. It's not good, but there are parts of it that I like. Like I actually think Jackie Earle Haley does a good job as Freddy Krueger. I think just the movie surrounding him is a little yikes, and not really well thought out. But at the end of the day, I think Robert Englund is just like so good as this character. I love the look of Freddy in almost all the movies except for maybe the final one. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I think he's fucking terrifying. Like the design choice of Freddy in that movie is fucking awesome. And some of the kills, like as the movies go on, some of the kills get really dumb, but some of them get so inventive and gross. Like I still to this day can't watch the bug one when she turns into a cockroach or whatever. Like I can't watch it. That one, I think that one's in 4, right? That's Dream Master.
Yeah, that's 4.
And then the one from Dream Child is the one where the girl get like they shove all the food in her. I can't watch that one. Those are the two where it's like those movies aren't like phenomenal, but those kills like are so effective and so well done. Like honestly, I love the franchise. Like people shit on it and say that like Freddy's not like, I know Cody really doesn't like Freddy Krueger, which I guess kind of makes sense, but like I remember being a kid and just thinking like this motherfucker can go into like your fucking dreams. Like you can't fucking sleep. It's just so terrifying. On a completely separate note, if you haven't watched Never Sleep Again, the documentary, it's like 4.5 hours long, but it's fucking incredible. It goes through literally like everything of the making of the franchise, and there's like a sister documentary too about Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Crystal Lake Memories. That is also really, I believe it's the same team that made both documentaries. I could be wrong about that. They have them on the same, like they always have them together when you buy them. So
on Vudu, they're really, really good. It's a really great documentary about the making of the films and like everything, and just kind of the passion that went into these films. I think we kind of forget that sometimes with like some of these like bad horror sequels. It's like, oh, they didn't try, or they didn't like, you know, they kind of phoned this one in. But like I think on Nightmare especially, they put a lot of work into making really cool practical effects and practical kills that were really, really awesome for the time. So I love these movies and I love this character very much. Boatman, what do you think about Freddy in the series?
Yeah, I would say that of like the big slasher franchises, not including Ghostface, because I feel like that's like his own thing, because like Ghostface changes every time. Freddy Krueger is the best slasher killer. I think that there's a reason no Nightmare on Elm Street movie hits a 0.5 star for me, and there's a reason no Robert Englund Nightmare movie hits below a 1.5 stars. And that's because I think that this is a really creative horror character. I think ultimately, like, this is a character that I don't know if they always bring this character to its full potential, but they've at least done it once or twice. I really like Dream Warriors, and I love New Nightmare. To me, those are like the two ones where it's like, this is what this franchise can be. But even like the bad ones, you still have Freddy, and you still have at least one creative kill. And like, I'll be honest, I'm like one of the few people who doesn't hate Freddy's Dead. Like, it's not good, but like in terms of the bad ones, I actually think that's one of the lesser bad ones. Because I like the video game kill, and I think the kills are actually creative in it. So yeah, I like the Wizard of Oz scene. I think that's actually kind
of Payson.
Yeah. I think this is a great pick. I think Robert Englund is really, really great as the character. New Nightmare is probably my favorite one of these movies, just because of the meta elements. But I also just love how insane Dream Warriors gets. Like, I remember when I watched for the first time last year for a trivia match, and at first I was like, do I like this movie? Like, or is it too weird for me? And the moment in which Freddy kills Kristen, the girl who wants to be an actress, where he comes out of the TV and just says, "Welcome to primetime, bitch," and just slams her into the TV. Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, I'm in. Like, Great pick.
Dude, when he takes the kid up to the clock tower, like the puppet, and like pulls his like veins and stuff, like that shit is just like ingrained in my brain for fucking ever. Dylan.
Yeah, obviously glad someone brought it up on the list because, like, even though I enjoy like the later sequels where he basically becomes a punchline and like a delivery system for one-liners and jokes and stuff, I mean, I think he's basically like the perfect horror villain where it's like the perfect concept of like there's nothing you can do to escape him, like you will fall asleep eventually, like you can't stay awake forever, and there's nothing you can do to convince people who aren't experiencing Freddy, like there's nothing you can do to convince them that you're in any danger without them just thinking you're insane or just brushing it off as, oh, it was just a nightmare. So he's like really just like the perfect like horror movie villain for that. And yeah, I think my favorite is probably A New Nightmare. Like I think that's probably the best one in my opinion. I think the way they shoot him in that, he's like just, I think that's his when he's at his creepiest. But yeah, great character.
Mike.
Yeah, I love Freddy Krueger. Especially the first one has some of the greatest horror images of all time. The long arms with the shadows of him, both bedroom kills, the Johnny Depp one, and then of course the ceiling is fucking amazing. And yeah, 3 and 4 I've always enjoyed because I love that they bring back some of the characters from the third one to the fourth one for a little bit, and I love the introductions. Oh yeah, Kincaid is fucking awesome. Yeah, I love that they named the dog Jason in that one. That's fucking awesome. Freddy is ingrained in my mind as one of the greatest horror villains of all time. He's so fucking awesome. Even his comedic side is great. And yeah, even the bad ones, I can still get some certain things, especially the kills, are good out of them.
Is the kid who dreams like, is this like name in the dream like Mr. Wizard in the third one? Like, isn't there like
he's the I won a match against Boatman answering this question correctly. Shit.
Like Wizard Master or something like that.
Is it the Wizard Master?
It's something wizard.
I can't remember.
I think it is Wizard.
It's the Wizard something. No.
I feel like a D-bag. I'm sorry.
This is how long I haven't played Fandom. I think it is the Wizard Master.
It is Wizard Master. Yes.
Yeah.
There it is. Boom. Okay.
Wizard Master. Okay.
No.
Mr. Wizard.
But okay. That is
He's the wizard and he has a power glove.
Yes.
It's so bad.
Hasn't Freddy's dead?
So
Yeah.
bad.
Okay, that's our list. Go over to the Letterboxd to check that out, as well as every movie that we've talked about this evening. We're gonna close out the show by talking about the movie of the month, Rope. I still haven't watched it. I bought it today. I haven't watched it yet. But it's a quick movie. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. So I will watch it this week and I will talk about it next week. Boatman, did you talk about it last week?
I did not talk about it last week. I'm going to talk about it this week. I've got like 10 minutes left in it, but I've seen it before. So I don't
go for it.
Talking about it. This is one of my favorite Hitchcock movies. I dig the heck out of this movie. There's a very it's based on a stage play, and the way that Hitchcock lamented the way he shot this, all looking like in one take. But frankly, I disagree with him. I think that this movie, I think the one take nature of it really makes you feel the tension of everything because you just kind of feel stuck. Like you can't cut away, you can't escape. Like you just kind of feel stuck in this situation, and I think the actors do a lot here. There's a great little moment in this movie. There's a lot of great little moments of humor, specifically with the lady who writes the horoscopes. I think she's very funny. But there's a great little moment of humor where Hitchcock's kind of being a little meta, where they can't remember the name of this Ingrid Bergman Cary Grant movie, and they're like, "Oh, it's a one-word title." And they're clearly referencing Hitchcock's previous movie, Notorious. And I just find that very funny, that Hitchcock's kind of winking at his own movie. But no, I dig the heck out of this one. Stewart kind of getting not being the main character, kind of getting the moral arc of this movie, going from kind of a bit of a douche to kind of realizing how he's messed up. I like the heck out of this movie.
What do you give it, Boatman?
4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5.
Actually, no, 5. It gets 5.
Nice. Okay. Payson.
Yeah, I watched this movie for the first time earlier today, and I really, really liked it. Just from that first shot, just immediately, like, no setup, just two guys just murdering a dude, and it's just like, let's go. I loved John Dahl is the one of the two guys that's like really confident about what he's doing.
Dahl is the confident one. Francis Lawrence is the other one.
That's fair. I think he's
not
great.
Francis Lawrence. Excuse me, Lawrence Harvey.
Okay, yes. And,
Francis Lawrence is the director of
Director of Constantine. Water for Elephants. All right.
Shout out to Red Sparrow. But yeah, I think the John Dahl I think is really, really great as like this cocky guy of just like, come on, there has to be perfection in what we're doing. The only crime would be getting caught. And just the constant tension you have, just like every time someone new comes in, they get a little closer to the body, I think is excellent. Like Boatman said, the notorious joke I thought was excellent. When Jimmy Stewart's like, yeah, I saw that musical with Mary Pickford, The Thing with the what and stuff, I think is really, really funny. I don't want to spoil what happens in the last 10 minutes for Tim, but I think that ending and how it's all solved is just incredible. Both the two villains are just complete douchebags, and you just kind of want to punch them the whole time. But yeah, I think this movie is great. Not one of my absolute favorite Hitchcock movies, but I do think it's really, really good.
And Mike, you talked about it last week, right?
Yeah, I talked about it last week.
Dylan.
4 stars.
This is. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. What was it, Payson?
4 stars. 4 stars.
4. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is like top tier Hitchcock for me. Like, I'm not an expert like some people, but I have seen quite a few, and I really love this one. It's an interesting game that Hitchcock plays with the audiences with a lot of his movies, where the main characters are like horrible people, and yet there's so much tension that he makes you feel where it's like, oh no, what if these horrible psychopathic murderers get caught? That they're almost going to get caught, and it's like, then afterwards you're like, what the fuck am I saying? Like they should get caught, but it's like, yeah, it's like, and John Dahl's character I think is just fascinating with how he has like, it's almost like at certain points it's like, do you want to get caught? With like, it's like he does these things where it's like he's almost playing like a sick joke on them basically without them knowing it, and he wants them to come close to finding out about it without actually doing it, because that brings them that makes them feel intellectually superior or whatever. I love this movie. Top tier Hitchcock. I'd give it 4.5 stars.
4.5. All right. Yeah. All right. That is going to do it for the show today and our conversations about Rope. Next week, we are talking about comic book movie villains. That's a full panel. Following week is going to be Guilty Pleasures Volume 3 Horror Edition, and then I swear we will stop the Guilty Pleasures, but I had to come up with something and couldn't think of anything else. And Boatman was in California and didn't want to bother him. So that's what we're doing that week. That's going to be the next 2 weeks. I would expect after next week's show, expect the poll for November. November will be the last month of the year for us. We're not going to have any live shows in December. I haven't officially talked to Boatman about this yet, but I would expect our last show will probably be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. If I had to guess, that I think that's what we did last year. So it'll probably be the 22nd. So we will only do, well, actually that's still 4 weeks because November 1st is a Tuesday. So we'll still have 4 weeks to go through next month. So we'll get topics and the movie of the month ready probably around this time next week for November. And that's going to be the 2020s. We actually did a full year now that we actually were on for a full year. Last year we weren't. So we actually get to go all the way back to the 2020s for November this year. So that's fun. But that's going to be a fun show next week. Like I said, comic book movie villains, be here next week for that. So thank you to Payson. Thank you to Dylan, Mike, and Boatman. As always, I've been Tim. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great night.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening.